Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Tropical storm Raphael did more damage to agriculture sector than Hurricane Beryl. Education transformation not enough to tackle school violence. And later in sports, Yoni Epstein confident of bid to take over the Montego Bay Sports Complex. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. We begin with news in agriculture. It's been a bad year for the sector. That admission from Agriculture Minister Floyd Green. According to Mr. Green, repeated weather systems have left farmers in loss. Ramarda Lyons reports.
Beryl was a Category 4 hurricane back in July that battered the island. But not even that system did more damage to the agriculture sector than Tropical Storm Raphael. Landslides, road breakaways, you name it. Farmers have been crying for a break.
The rider team have been out in the field looking at the extent of the damage. Clearly, we're still capturing those preliminary figures. After any weather event of this nature, farmers go back out and see how much they can salvage, how much they can save. But already we have counted over $500 million in damage.
And now, another system is expected to affect the island across the course of this week. More beating to the sector.
With this new system, clearly, we have to continue to watch and see what can be done. One of the things that the radar team has done is that we've put out some videos saying to our farmers what to do in these times.
The minister reflected on what was a promising outlook for agriculture at the start of the year.
This has been a very, very difficult year for our farmers and fishers, largely because of weather-related events. We had started the year on a positive trajectory in terms of growth or growth numbers.
But then a severe drought crippled the sector. Coming out of that drought, too much water. Back-to-back weather systems, leaving many farmlands overly saturated and leaving crops in ruin.
As we came out of that, we went into Hurricane Beryl, which cost over $6 billion in damage to our agricultural sector. Unfortunately, we're just recovering from Beryl. In fact, we had just started to see market prices starting to trend down around some of our critical vegetables like tomato and cabbage. And here comes Raphael, which with a lot of rain. It's very tough because the ground is saturated. So what happens now, the more rain you get, is the more you have flood events.
I put this question to the minister. Has 2024 been the worst year for agriculture in recent time?
When it comes to the weather, this has been one of the most difficult years. Definitely. Remember last year, we had our worst drought on record. Right? So last year was our hottest year and our longest drought. So last year in and of itself was a terrible year in terms of just trying to fight the drought. This year we've had both. So it comes off a little bit more difficult than last year, but then it compounds what happened last year. So when you put the 2 years together, I think what we're seeing is that the climate truly has changed. It is more difficult for our farmers to bring those crops and to get the yield. And we have to just continue ramping up the support.
Ramarda Lyons, TVJ News.
President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvern Wright, is again calling for increased resources to address behavioral issues among students. Mr. Wright was speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106 Thursday. A new school year with old issues lingering, like violence, which the president of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvern Wright, says is linked to what's happening nationally. Education transformation alone, he stressed, won't solve the problem.
So one of the things that I have always said is that for how many of our children grow, in many of the communities where our children are, for example, community centers now are overgrown with all kinds of things that some members of parliament have the keys to them, right? So we don't have any kind of serious organizations with teams and used to be around it. Within schools themselves, we do not invest enough, I think. So if a principal doesn't take it on and try to take whatever budget to do particular thing, all of those things that are about building soft skills in a kind of way that many children, they don't even realize that it's being built. We have not developed those things in schools enough, knowing the communities from which our children come.
Mr. Wright also notes that while economic growth is frequently discussed, investing in social development is often overlooked.
We keep talking about economic growth, and we are not investing in social development. It's all about arms, Police getting more armed, better police stations. That must be a part of it. But the long-term solution to deal with many of these things with our children is investing deliberately and in a targeted way on these things. We can't leave them to incidental work.
The association is advocating for increased resources to tackle student behavioral issues.
More investment ought to be done, for example, in placing social workers in that school. Because many of these children have problems with aggression, they have problems with adverse childhood experiences. That a one-off counseling session won't help. It has to be a group counseling session. It has to be something that is sustained. It has to be over time. It has to be predictable. And it's not something that should frustrate the child, frustrate the principal, frustrate the school. So we have got to be deliberate about this and not just wait on some jingles.
Member of Parliament for North East St. Elizabeth, Delroy Slowly, is asking residents of Silo to be patient while work is being done on the road linking Balaclava and Silo. Repair work is now underway after a section of the road collapsed during the passage of Tropical Storm Raphael. Mr. Slowly proposed a temporary solution.
There is, in fact, an alternate route which has been mentioned, which is from Braze River through Elim. But there is also a route through the sugar estate. I looked at it myself, and it's an informal alternate route because it's close by. But what I intend to do, I spoke with the Appleton estate, and we're going to be pooling resources together in terms of upgrading the surface of it in the next few days, if it is that the work is not started within a certain time frame, to make it easier in terms of persons using that area.
He also responded to calls from residents for intervention based on the pace at which the road is being rehabilitated.
I have mixed feelings about that. I believe a person would have been calling my attention to that I should fix it because they've seen me doing so many things. So I believe that they think I can bridge that process and have it done. But I just want to remind you that that is something that the NAA is responsible for directly, and I can't do anything away from my personal intervention to the alternate route. If I were given the option and that authority to do a fix on it, I definitely would have included my own resources and seek to get it done. But it's not something that I'm directly. I can't do that. It's the NAA that has to deal with it, and they're dealing with it.
Over in St. James, Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, says the municipal corporation has identified solutions to address the traffic issues affecting the city.
In terms of a short-term solution to the traffic situation in Montego Bay, it would mean that we need to have more manned area intersections. But in terms of a long-term solution to the problem, it goes beyond some of the conversations that I'm hearing pertaining to road condition. Of course, that contributes to it, but it's bigger than that.
The council will also be looking at the overall traffic and transportation management plan in Montego Bay.
Organizing transportation within the space, reassessing the roadways. Some I know will be improved under the current development of the perimeter road. Some sections will be widened. Where we have single lanes, we will have dual carriages for some of those areas, and I believe that will contribute to the freeing up of space to facilitate traffic. The perimeter road will solve some of the problems, but not all. So as we go along, we have to continue to collect the data pertaining to the movement of vehicles along the roadway, movement of people, and how best we can find the solutions within that data gathered.
Residents and farmers in South Trelawny are calling on their elected representatives to address the poor farm road condition in the constituency. The farmers say the situation worsened after the recent heavy rains, with a section of the road now eroded. Residents also expressed that it has become increasingly difficult to traverse the area.
Where thousands of pound of yam come out daily on a daily basis. And the farmers need the road to fix.
So where the money, all the money going?
If you where the money is going,
yeah,
that comes out from the export, the government need to answer with on this. Fix the road.
Trust me, the road is very, very bad. Right now, if you tell you the truth, I pull the arm stick. And right now, sometimes I don't even want to come over here because the road is very, very bad, you know. And every councillor come, they're going to just drive through.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. In a major effort to restore order and safety, a comprehensive cleanup exercise was conducted on Beckford Street in downtown Kingston on Sunday. The area, known for congestion and criminal activity, has undergone a significant transformation. Karen Simpson reports.
For years, Beckford Street has been known for chaos. Street-side vending leading to traffic gridlock and, in some cases, lack of access. The area has also been a criminal hotspot.
Because of the cleanup, it is much easier for the police to access the space. Right? Before that, it would be easy for any criminal to commit any activity and run along Beckford Street, and they use Beckford Street as a haven. So because of the cleanup exercise, it has allowed the police easier access to patrol the space, so we can prevent against acts of that nature.
To this end, the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation is partnering with the police to reclaim the area to make it safer for vendors, residents, and commuters. They embarked on a major cleanup initiative which has been welcomed by the vendors.
I feel good, they look better, much better, because the people them can get to walk freely and them can come in and buy with the place chuck up. They move free and them can see it.
They get natural cool breeze. But to them I say the clothes are burn out, but them can cover them clothes when the sun are going in now, but take time. But they have to working them we and the sun are burning them clothes. Yeah, a good idea.
Because the road free and when people can get for walk and buy, and we really want to be a part of any team when them are coming. Them say them are registered, we're willing to work with it. You understand? Because we're not above the law, so we have to work with the law. You understand?
What them make to do it?
Yeah, man. Them come to before and them talk, man, and them make sure say we have an understanding for everything what them are doing. I'm grateful for that, because normally they come with brute force.
But as the festive season approaches, law enforcement is encouraging vendors to adhere to rules and regulations.
We ask that person do not travel with large sums of cash on their person. We also ask them not to wear expensive jewelry, chains, chaparitas, rings. And we ask them also not to travel with their electronic devices, because this attracts criminals on them. So we want for them to do all that they can do to prevent against any act of criminality. We are here to serve, protect, and to reassure them as we enter and approach the Yuletide season.
Carrie Simpson, TVJ News.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Bank of Jamaica is expected to make another decision today as to whether it should cut the benchmark rate by another 25 basis points from the current level of 6.5% per annum to 6.25% per annum. Factors that may influence the BOJ's decision include the announcement by the U.S. Federal Reserve Board that it will be moving more slowly to cut the rates again. This is in addition to the unwillingness of commercial banks to respond to the BOJ's two previous rate cuts from 7% per annum to the current level. Further afield, the U.S. government formally proposed a partial breakup of Google. The Department of Justice urged a federal judge this week to force a sale of the company's Chrome web browser. In their court filing, antitrust enforcers said that a spin-off of Chrome could help prevent an illegal monopoly from recurring. If approved, the penalties could revolutionize how millions of Americans search for information, and it could potentially disrupt the tight integration among many of Google's key products and services. A landmark ruling this year found that Google had violated U.S. antitrust law with its search business. Google has promised to appeal. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Kerry Simpson.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the new National Party of Grenada will hold its long-delayed convention in December amid uncertainty about whether Dr. Keith Mitchell, the party leader, will step down. Mitchell, 78, has hinted at retiring but has given mixed signals about his departure. Although he previously stated he would not contest the leadership again, he has emphasized that he will ensure a suitable successor is in place to lead the party and continue its development. Emmeline Pierre and Peter David are among those expected to contest the leadership. On the international scene, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for crimes against humanity and war crimes related to the war in Gaza. The charges include starvation of civilians, willful killing, and intentionally attacking civilian populations. The court also issued a warrant for Hamas military leader Mohammed Deif, who Israeli officials claim was killed in July, although the ICC could not confirm his status. In parallel, a U.S. envoy is in Israel discussing a potential ceasefire with Israeli officials following talks in Lebanon. The ceasefire proposal, which includes a 60-day truce, addresses the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Lebanon, disarmament of Hezbollah militants, and negotiations for a permanent border between the two nations. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Hal Shaneberg.
Thank you, Hal Shane. We take another break. Sports is next.